What's going on, everyone? We are heading into the most important day of the week tomorrow as the Fed's favorite inflation data is set to release. The stock market euphoria right now is currently at multi-year highs. Bitcoin is blasting off as it cracked the $60,000 level yet again, which is something that we haven't seen since November of 2021. At the same time, there are a lot of crazy things happening in the stock market right now. So in today's video, we're going to cover everything you need to know, and we're going to go over some great setups to make tomorrow a great day. So with that being said, Tom, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it.
Yeah, the market today was actually pretty choppy. It actually opened down. Last night, we talked about it being at that key 507 resistance that ended up holding up very well into today. The SPY fell down. It tried to test that a couple times today, got fairly close, and then again, rejected back. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we're going to be sitting right back around that 504.50 support that we bounced at earlier in the week. So I'm really going to be watching the SPY here. Are we going to break down or rebound off of that? We will be watching for that tomorrow morning and maybe looking for plays in that direction. But Mike, I know that over the past few days, we've been looking a lot at some of these big earnings that have been coming out, as well as these big Bitcoin stocks like Coinbase, Mara, Riot, and etc. One of the favorites tonight, Mara, actually reported earnings. It's actually moving down a little bit in after hours. I will say this, it's very choppy though, up and down, very volatile, but I just wanted to bring this up because, man, Bitcoin right now is going insane, and I know that Mara's going to have a lot of eyes on it with those earnings that happen. So between Bitcoin and Mara and Coinbase, man, we're in for a treat tonight.
Exactly. Last week, it was all about the AI and chip stocks, and so far this week, the crypto stocks are getting all of the love. And while Bitcoin has been blasting to the upside, one of the most popular crypto platforms, Coinbase, actually had a pretty not so good error today as their app just crashed and basically showed all of its users that they had a $0 balance. So obviously this isn't the best look ever, and Bitcoin did sell off with this news, but everything's a-okay, which is good to see. But like I said, there's a lot of hype with the crypto industry right now, and as you mentioned, Tom, Mara stock has been one of the most popular stocks in the market lately. They just reported earnings in after hours, and to be straight up, they are all over the place, and they're not really moving with too much of a clear direction, at least as of right now.
Yeah, and that's going to be really negative, especially for options traders tomorrow. If you were buying this ahead of earnings and this thing just ends up opening around $30, that is going to be one of the biggest IV crushes that we've seen in a long time, right? Because between all the hype with Bitcoin and everything, it's going to be crazy. So hopefully it starts to get some more movement. But they did have revenue up 229% year over year. Bitcoin production was up 200% as well. So I saw that across the board, they actually had a fairly good report. I'm surprised that they're moving down, but then again, they've been so hyped up lately that who knows, maybe it's triggering a bit of selling. I can't tell you, Mike, sometimes these earnings leave me scratching my head.
There we go. Circling back to the overall market right now and looking at SPY, it is still right at its all-time high, and this is happening as the euphoria in the market is basically at the highest point it has been at over the past couple of years. Looking at the chart right now, we can see we have a blue line and a red line. Basically, the blue line represents the price of call options, and the red line represents the price of put options. We can see that the blue line is at the highest point it's been at over the past couple of years, and this basically means that right now the market is in sunshine and rainbows land, right? Everything just keeps going higher and higher and higher, and people are basically willing to pay higher premiums for call options right now than they have over the past couple of years. There's a ton of euphoria in the market right now. For the short term, that makes it easy to capitalize off of uptrends and basically any stock that is rising. But as we could see by looking at the chart, every single time the market has gotten this level of euphoria, it has almost always came tumbling back down, because, you could only be so euphoric for so long before people eventually start taking profits and things like that, right? So looking at the market right now, there's a lot of euphoria. Don't hesitate to, trade bullish plays in the short term, but at the same time, whether you're the most bullish bull out there or you're the most bearish bear, you have to keep in mind that the market has been up quite a bit lately, and it is not unreasonable to see a pullback, right? This doesn't mean the market has to come crashing down tomorrow, but when we have giant inflation data set to release and the market has been green for 15 out of the past 17 weeks, which is something that hasn't been seen since 1989, you can't help but at least be a little bit aware of a potential pullback.
Yeah, you definitely have to, especially whenever we're talking about inflation data. And PCE data, for anybody that doesn't know, is actually the Fed's preferred gauge on inflation, specifically the core PCE index. So whenever I hear that, Mike, I mean, that's a pretty big statement that this is the Fed's the main tool that they look at to see how inflation's going. So that is a big statement there. It's going to be a big event tomorrow morning. If it shows that inflation is starting to move up a little bit more, that's going to be a pretty scary sight. So hopefully that's not the case, but we've been seeing inflation drop a little bit. I know it's been kind of steadily falling over the past couple readings, but at the same time, if it starts to come back, that's going to be a little bit of a worry. And with the market continuing to do so well, and with the economy, seemingly people keep buying and everything, it's like, man, I feel like the inflation could end up going a little higher, but we'll have to see. Obviously, time will tell tomorrow. But if let's say the data comes in bad and SPY starts breaking these key supports, we might see some good plays down. And at the same time, volatility will start to rise. So I'm going to have my eyes on UVXY and VXX as well tomorrow. I noticed end of day, it started picking up a little bit more.
That's the thing, because the market was a lot more calm than we've seen lately. Basically, about half of the stocks in the S&P 500 were red and the other half were green. And as we all know, it's been mostly a bullish market lately. And I know you just said this, Tom, but I'm going to say it again just because it's that important. PCE data is coming out 1 hour before the market opens tomorrow. This is the most important event of the week. Be ready. If this inflation data comes in hot, the market can get very nasty very quickly. At the same time, if the data comes in cool, then it's business as usual, right? But you have to pay attention to this event because inflation data has been the most important data in the market over the past 2 to 3 years at this point. So pay attention, volatility's coming, and while we're still finishing up inflation data and events like that, we can't forget about the earnings from today and some earnings to watch out for tomorrow.
Yeah, one big one is Snowflake tonight. I mean, Snowflake is getting hit so hard, guys. Where it is now, it's down 25% at the lows. Apparently, they're getting rid of their CEO, or well, not getting rid of him, I should say. He's retiring. I don't want to make it sound negative, right? But at the same time, he's leaving. So it looks like that's a pretty negative sight for Snowflake. I noticed that CRM was down quite a bit too. So that's a pretty big negative there. Hopefully, Mara can be the shining light, but it looks like right now that's not the case, as it's continuing to go a little bit lower, even with those good numbers. So we have that going on, Mike. And then, of course, even more reports coming out tomorrow. So tomorrow we have Celsius, CELH, in pre-market, along with Best Buy, Kronos, even Budweiser or Anheuser-Busch, AB InBev right there. Zscaler and After Hours, SoundHound. I know there's been a lot of hype with that one. So there's quite a bit tomorrow. It's obviously not as big as today, in my opinion, but those are some pretty respectful companies.
All right, there we go. All right, Tom, well, let's get right into some setups for tomorrow then. Yesterday, I talked about Google to the downside, and it had a pretty nice bearish day today, but nothing too crazy as of yet. But either way, this stock has been showing a lot of weakness in the short term, and if the market continues lower off of the inflation data tomorrow, I will definitely continue to look at this one in a bearish way. So basically, I'm just looking for weakness in the market. As long as that stays true, I will continue to play this Google downtrend.
Yeah, and this one was pretty weak today overall, especially compared to most of the other stocks out there. So I could see it down tomorrow too, especially if it starts to break support. And when you mentioned it yesterday, you gave a couple levels, and man, it broke right below there with some good velocity. So I'm glad to see that. With my first play, I'm looking at Boeing to the upside. Boeing had a great bounce off $200 today, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily a huge uptrend starting yet, but in the short term, I think we could see some more upwards movement. So I'll be looking for a breakout of 208. That's a pretty solid resistance. And then I'll be looking to target 210 once that breaks. Obviously, if we break 210, that'll be great. But, just don't look for too much more past that. I don't think we could have as crazy as a move as we did today.
Alrighty. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Zoom. So we could say I was going to say the sleeping giant, but I don't know if it deserves that categorization yet. But looking at Zoom, the stock has been down in the dumps for a while now. It's finally starting to see some daylight after its most recent earnings report, and it has been straight up basically ever since it reported. So looking at Zoom, there's a lot of good short-term bullish momentum with this one, and I can see it continuing. I would just like to see a break above that $70.50 area. There has been a decent amount of resistance with this one over like the past couple of days between like $70.50 and then even like $72. But again, if we can get back to that $70.50 area with some decent price action, I think it can make a nice move up.
I do too. I was actually going to look at Zoom myself, and I saw you had it again, and I was like, of course, right? But I really like Zoom heading into tomorrow too. It's a great momentum play, so I'll keep it on the radar. It's continuing up well with earnings, and you talked about it yesterday, so great job there. With my next play, I'm looking at Ford. This is a bit of an outlier. Most of the time, Ford is I'm not going to say a slow mover, but, it's one of those, I guess, what would you say, Mike? Old-time stocks, a little bit slower. It's obviously no NVIDIA, right? But at the same time, Ford does have decent moves now and again. If I do see it start to rise tomorrow and continue off of this momentum, I will look at it to the upside. I would love to see a break above 1240. If we could break that, then I think we could be looking at calls. So watch for that breakout here. It had a good move today, and I think it could move up for the next few days here.
Good stuff. Yeah, stocks like Ford don't get anywhere near the amount of love that stocks like NVIDIA or AMD or Mara or Tesla get, but they do have some nice moves every now and then. So we'll keep a close eye on this one, but it is now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have a stock pretty similar to Ford, and that is GM to the upside.
Yeah, General Motors had a good move in its own right. If they can break above $41.10, go ahead and look at calls. I like 41.10 because 41's the main resistance, but you can see it broke above it slightly, so give it about 10 cents there.
All right, with the next one, we have ExxonMobil also to the upside.
Yeah, the oil stocks were pretty good today, and there was a nice intraday resistance with Exxon. So if they can break 104.70, then I'll be looking at calls back up.
All right, and with the last one, we have TLT for both directions, and, given the inflation data tomorrow, we can't not cover it.
Oh, gosh, I think yields are going to go crazy tomorrow. We'll see which way they go, but let's go ahead and make it break to the upside above 93.60, just above that high of day. I like that right there. To the downside, go ahead and make it break below 93.30. There was a bit of a resistance there intraday early on in the morning.
All right, so we have the downside level for puts, and we have the upside level for calls. This is for TLT. Don't forget about ExxonMobil and General Motors with their upside levels as well. For these three stocks, we are looking for breaks through the levels Tom listed and then continuations in that direction. These are for day trades only, so keep them on watch for tomorrow. But we also have to cover today's $915,000 big money trade of the day. And surprise, surprise, Tom, the big money is scooping up another Chinese stock. So this one isn't as well known, but it is ticker symbol VIPS. And basically the big money put $915,000 into the VIPS 20 strike call options that expire on June 21st of 2024. These call options are right at the money. They have some time to them, and when you look at a max weekly chart of this one, or when you just like zoom out a while, you can see that every now and then this stock has like a really, really nice run, and a lot of times it lasts for multiple weeks to months at a time. And this recent price action is definitely made for a good uptrend in the short term at least. So going forward with this one, it has potential, but just due to the nature of the company, it is definitely riskier than your average play.
Yeah, it definitely is, but I will say it's been moving very well. I like that breakout today, up 12%. I'm not surprised that they're looking at these 20 strike calls. It had a good move today. If it truly does start breaking out and above this recent range, I could see it going much higher. So, especially with all the positivity surrounding China stocks lately, doesn't surprise me one bit, Mike. And this is an e-commerce company, if I am correct there, but e-commerce, you can't go wrong with those usually, right? Unless you're looking at, there's a couple out there that haven't been the best, but as we know, usually they're fairly good. So I'm glad to see it having good movement this year, and I know that I'm even watching BABA in the short term too.
All right, good stuff. So keep a close eye on that one. But just looking at the market overall right now, today was definitely a pretty choppy day. And days like today are the hardest to trade because the market just doesn't really do anything. But the good news is that we have inflation data tomorrow, and that'll definitely spice things up pretty quickly. Going into tomorrow and the rest of the week, the number one thing, as we've been saying quite a bit over the past couple of weeks, is to be adaptable. There's a lot of euphoria in the market right now. That's awesome for short-term bullish plays. At the same time, historically speaking, when we've been in these situations, it has never been a bad idea to be adaptable, because if the market continues to rocket up, then you're all set. But at the same time, if the market does start to fundamentally change, being willing to adapt quickly is something that not many traders do, but for those who do adapt quickly, it is definitely very beneficial. So just keep that in mind as we head into tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been a big thing lately. The past couple weeks, the market's been starting to get shaky. Like, even going back to last Friday, the market was pretty high, right? Making the all-time high around 510. It's just been slowly chopping lower this whole entire week. So the adaptable people out there this week were probably the ones doing a lot better than just the ones that were, being straight up perma bulls or perma bears or etc. So great stuff there, Mike. And let's hope that PCE data can get us some good directional movement. I'm really kind of hoping that this support gives out around 504.40 or 504.50, and then I'll go ahead and look at UVXY and a couple other of those volatility type of stocks to the upside tomorrow. I even like SPXS to the upside if this support gives out.
Awesome. If you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button. If you do, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. We post all the time with daily setups, daily big money, million-dollar trades. We go over all the important information you need to know, whether it's earnings, economic data events. We cover charts you won't find anywhere else, and we try to just provide as much value in these videos as possible. So consider joining the Stocked Up crew by demolishing that subscribe button, and you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. But we can't end the video without giving a giant shout out to today's member of the day, DiPeppo, who's been very new to the chat but very active, and they had a great day today with some SPY call options. So awesome job, DiPeppo. Keep up the great work, and let's see some more posts like this.
Yeah, I hope Papa enjoyed his gains today, right? That was pretty fire there, though, up 25% there. Got out with some beautiful gains at 54%, so great trading there, Peppo. Keep up the great work, and heading into tomorrow, Mike, we're seeing a lot of great posts today in the Profits channel. Boeing was the leader here. It's one of my plays for tomorrow. I'm going to keep watching that one for good momentum, and overall, the momentum tomorrow should be awesome. So, guys, be ready. If you have some great plays, post them up in the Profits channel. You just might win member of the day tomorrow.
There we go. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and let's make tomorrow a great day.